Hello and welcome to the Minimum Competence episode for Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. I'm your host for today, Andrew Leahy, a tax and technology attorney from New Jersey. On today's episode, we have Trump's no tax on overtime policy, lawyer donations favoring Harris over Trump, Trump's pledge to restore the SALT deduction, and a new California AI law for entertainers. Let's remember, some people feel the rain while others just get wet, and read today's legal news. On this day in legal history, September 18th, 1850, U.S. President Millard Fillmore signed the Fugitive Slave Act into law, a key and highly controversial component of the Compromise of 1850 and a dark moment in American history, unfortunately, one among many in the 19th century. The act required that escaped slaves, even if they had reached free states, be captured and returned to their enslavers. It also imposed heavy penalties on anyone who aided a fugitive slave, including fines and imprisonment. Disturbingly, the law authorized federal marshals and local law enforcement to arrest individuals based on little more than a slaveholder's claim, placing free black men and women at risk of being falsely accused and sold into slavery. The Fugitive Slave Act enraged abolitionists and free states in the North, who viewed the law as a gross infringement on their legal sovereignty and moral principles. Northern citizens were now legally obligated to participate in the enforcement of slavery, a practice many detested. Conversely, slaveholders in the South celebrated the law as a victory, seeing it as essential for the preservation of their economic system. This deepened the divide between North and South, escalating tensions that would eventually lead to the Civil War. The act's passage not only exposed the fragility of compromises between pro-slavery and anti-slavery factions, but also galvanized the abolitionist movement. It showed how far the federal government was willing to go to protect the institution of slavery, making resistance increasingly inevitable. In a piece I wrote for Forbes, I weighed into a tax policy proposed by former President Donald Trump. Floated by Trump at a rally in Arizona, the no tax on overtime policy aims to eliminate income tax on overtime pay, echoing a previous proposal to end taxes on tips. While the policy is presented as a way to relieve tax burdens on hourly workers, a closer analysis reveals several potential issues. By creating a tax-free incentive for overtime, the policy could favor workers able to put in extra hours, leaving others, like working parents, disadvantaged. This could deepen income inequality, as those unable to work overtime would continue paying taxes on their standard wages, while others benefit from a lighter tax burden. Additionally, employers may shift compensation structures to push for longer working hours, leading to lower base wages and a culture of overwork. Implementation of this policy would also create administrative challenges for employers and the IRS. Instead of targeted tax breaks, broader reforms like increasing the federal minimum wage might better address wage inequalities without distorting the labor market. In the first 10 days of Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, lawyers contributed more to her than they did to Donald Trump's campaign over nearly 2 years, according to Federal Election Commission data. Harris received nearly $8.3 million from around 26,000 contributions from individuals listing attorney or lawyer as their occupation after Joe Biden endorsed her in July of 2024. In comparison, Trump's campaign, which began in November of 2022, raised about $6.88 million from lawyers over that entire period. Lawyers have historically favored Democratic candidates, with Harris's and Biden's campaigns together raising significantly more from the legal profession than Trump's campaign. In previous elections, Democratic candidates like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden have all received much more financial support from lawyers than their Republican counterparts. The data reflects a broader trend where large law firms and individual lawyers increasingly lean toward Democratic candidates. Donald Trump recently pledged to restore the state and local tax or SALT deduction, a tax break he limited during his presidency as part of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. In a post on Truth Social, Trump promised to reverse the $10,000 cap on SALT deductions, which has disproportionately impacted residents in high tax areas like New York, especially in suburban areas where property values are very high. The cap was initially supported by Republicans as it helped balance tax cuts elsewhere in the law. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer criticized Trump's reversal, pointing out that Trump himself had imposed the cap. Repealing the limit could add an estimated $1.2 trillion to the cost of extending the tax law. Trump's focus on this issue, particularly in Long Island, reflects the area's significance in ongoing battles for control of the U.S. House of Representatives. Yesterday, on September 17th, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed 2 bills designed to protect actors and performers from unauthorized use of their digital likenesses by artificial intelligence. One bill mandates that contracts specify when AI-generated replicas of a performer's voice or image will be used, requiring the performer to have professional representation in contract negotiations. The other bill prohibits the commercial use of digital replicas of deceased performers without consent from their estates. These laws respond to growing concerns in the entertainment industry about AI's potential to exploit performers' likenesses without permission, part of broader fears about AI's ethical and legal implications. And with that, I thank you so much for listening to Minimum Competence, your daily news podcast for lawyers. If you're looking for more than Minimum Competence, links to further reading on all the topics touched on today are in the show notes. And reviews go a long way towards helping new listeners to find our show. If you have a moment, leave a rating or review on your podcast player. We'd sure appreciate it. And if you know someone that might be interested in a story we cover, consider sending them the episode. But remember, nothing here should be construed as legal advice because it is certainly not that. Minimum Competence is available at minimumcomp.com and wherever you get your finely crafted podcasts. If you haven't checked out the website in a while, give it a look. There are complete transcripts and resources for each episode and its corresponding segments, as well as an opportunity to receive new episodes in email, newsletter form. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and until then, remember, do not be angry with the rain. It simply does not know how to fall upwards.